I so hard. Just holding on for my dear life. So what games are we gonna do today?
We don't have any games to compare.
What are you talking about? We got loads of games. Batman.
We don't have the Super Nintendo game.
Okay, what about The Lion King?
We don't have the Sega game.
Okay, what about Star Wars?
Sega doesn't have any Star Wars games.
No Star Wars? How do you live? Hey, how about Beavis and Butt-head? We got both games.
Yeah, we do, but we can't play those games. Those games are cursed.
What?
They're cursed. My parents told me that if you play that game, you actually turn into Beavis and Butt-head.
That's just something your parents made up to scare you so you want to play. Your parents lie to you all the time. Don't sit too close to the TV, you'll go blind. Don't make that face, it'll get stuck. Always wash your hands every time you use the bathroom. Who does that, right?
Right.
Let's play these games. Beavis and Butt-head is an American animation series created and designed by Mike Judge. It aired on MTV from 1993 to 1997. It was even revived briefly in 2011. During its initial run, controversy followed the show for its violence and crude humor.
Despite controversies, the show was massively popular. There were Beavis and Butt-head toys, clothing, comics, a spin-off show, a feature film, and of course, video games. There were many games released in the series, but the games we're looking at today are Beavis and Butt-head for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Which game's better? Let's find out.
Let's look at Super Nintendo. The characters are looking great. A perfect transition from the TV show to home console. There's lots of levels based on show locations too. They look great and give the game nice variety. Character animation is smooth and plentiful. These guys have so many different animations, it's almost like watching the real show.
No way. Sega looks better.
Sega definitely has the look of the show down to a T. See how good these characters look? Just like the show. And the levels look great here too. Just like the show. And of course the animation here is nice and fluid. Just like the show.
Don't get carried away. It's not as good as Super Nintendo. Looking at both games, the Super Nintendo game is brighter. I feel like I'm wearing sunglasses when looking at the Sega game. The use of color on Sega looks a bit plain too. It looks simple compared to Super Nintendo.
One word comes to mind, and that word is pixelated.
Looking at these games side by side, the SNES game looks so pixelated, and the characters are much smaller in Super Nintendo too. If you had to choose, wouldn't you pick the game that wasn't pixelated and had bigger characters that were nice and clear to see? There's not much of a difference in the two games' looks, but there's enough. With bigger, less pixelated look, graphics go to Sega.
I'm gonna blow you away with Nintendo's presentation.
You said blow. Oh no. I think I'm cursed.
You always imitate things you watch. Remember The Room? We're out.
I like my cereal.
Let's just look at presentation. The game starts just like the show with a disclaimer. Then on to our two heroes. It goes on to an intro that gets the story going. You have these great looking stills after you beat each level. And it's topped off with an ending. And of course, all these cutscenes look like they could have been taken right from the show.
Sega's presentation's better.
It starts off just like the show too. Then it has an intro that sets the story in motion. There's no still after a boss, but some events trigger hilarious cutscenes. There's in-game cutscenes too. There's also an ending for some closure.
My game definitely looks like the show. The opener on Sega is small and barely moves. Super Nintendo is bigger and moves a lot.
That opening is all you have down.
The cutscenes in Sega are longer, and most importantly, they capture the humor from the show. How do your boring stills do that? With more cutscenes that capture the humor from the show, presentation goes to Sega.
So let's check out some of Sega's tunes.
Got some rockin' tunes. Some songs can be nice and chill. But there's mostly rockin' songs.
That's nothing compared to Nintendo. Sega's got way too much nice. Nintendo's all
Whoa! What just happened? Why did we do that? We're cursed. It's a curse!
Stop being paranoid. We always rock out like that.
But
Let's look at Nintendo's music. It's hard rockin'. There's even peaceful music for irony. But it definitely rocks harder. When it comes to quality, you can't beat the Super Nintendo.
oh no, it's happening.
What is it now?
It's our shirts. Our shirts have... No. Our shirts changed. I was wearing AC/DC and you were wearing Metallica. Just like Beavis and
Would
Butt-head.
you forget about the curse already?
But...
Let's talk about how bad Sega sounds. Listen to the themes back to back. Super Nintendo is so much better. Sound quality of the music in general is better on Super Nintendo. And that's not all. The voiceovers sound more clear on Super Nintendo too.
We're there, dude. We're there, dude. That was cool. Yeah.
With clearer music and sound effects, sound goes to Nintendo. Gameplay on Super Nintendo was tight. It plays like an action platformer. There's even elements of a fighting game. You can play as Beavis or Butt-head, 1 or 2 players. You pretty much avoid obstacles and take down enemies in your way. Throw in some boss battles and variety, and you've got yourself a winner.
Sega's gameplay is better than that.
Sega game plays differently, more like an action game with a focus on puzzle elements. You can't just beat everybody up and then beat the game. You actually need to do some thinking. There are items all throughout the game. You need to use the right item at the right place in order to progress in the game. It really requires a lot of thinking and patience, trial and error. Throw in some action for variety, and you've got the real winner, unlike the flawed Nintendo game.
Game with so many flaws, it's ridiculous. What the heck? What is this? Braces? Oh no! It's a curse! It's real! I knew it! We're turning into the characters. I'm not playing anymore.
I see you have braces.
I have braces too.
Who are you?
Yeah, we were cursed by the game too.
We thought it'd be fun to play Beavis and Butt-head. We never realized we'd become them.
So we need to stop playing before we turn to you, right?
That's not how it works. You need to do something we never could.
Yeah, you need to beat the game.
Shut up, Beavis. You're supposed to say that.
Sorry.
So if we beat the game, the curse is gone.
Beating the Super Nintendo game is going to be a bit tough because it's so flawed.
In an attempt to ruin friendship when you play 2-player modes on Super Nintendo, 2 characters share a life bar. This makes the game practically unplayable in 2-player. Why couldn't they just have separate life bars? Sega does.
That flaw is nothing compared to Sega's faults. The puzzle element in the game is seriously flawed. In a game like Zelda, you run into a puzzle, and when you do it, you feel good because the puzzle was well constructed. You don't get that feeling in this game, at all. Many of the puzzles here aren't obvious, so a lot of your game is spent doing trial and error. A lot. And who wants to do too much thinking in a Beavis and Butt-head game? More likely you'll just get frustrated and go on the internet. The trial and error part is bad too. There's a lot of things in this game that will kill you, and you have no lives in this game. When you die, it's game over. You have to go enter the password every time you die. Every time. In some levels, be prepared to die a lot. Why couldn't they just have lives or continues? Nintendo gives you plenty of lives. Oh, and you might not have a shared life bar, but if one character dies, it's game over. After all that dying and frustrating puzzles, you appreciate Nintendo's straightforward gameplay. Best gameplay goes to Nintendo. After playing both games back to back, the best Beavis and Butt-head game goes to Super Nintendo. Graphics and presentation may not be the best, but it still looks just like the show. The music is good and the voiceovers are clear. The gameplay is straightforward action and platforming, but it's a lot less frustrating than Sega's puzzles and lack of lives or continues. Best Beavis and Butt-head game goes to Nintendo. There, we beat both games, so no more curse?
Whoa, they beat the game.
You bongos! Now beating the game is what gives you the curse.
Yeah, we needed you fart knockers to beat the game to release us from the curse.
What?
Well, thanks a lot, losers.
Yeah, dorks. You're never helpful.
I told you those games were cursed. What are you doing?
I just had a horrible dream. I had a dream we turned into Beavis and Butt-head. It was awful.
That's weird. Sounds like you could use a beer. Come on, I'm buying. Everything will be alright.
Thanks for watching our latest video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. A special thanks to everyone who suggested Beavis and Butt-head. Keep leaving those suggestions, and we will get to them. Also, check us out on Facebook or Twitter. Later.
So what games are we doing today?
You don't have